first do no harm is clearly what you do when you go before Congress. Yeah. Where could Chairman Powell trip up today? There's got to be a theme or something where you're going, boy, I hope he says the right thing.
I don't think he'll trip off. He's very capable. Of course, he has a 5-year track record. He's been through confirmation twice. And so in some ways, he's a pro of confirmation hearings. I think Powell is and will present himself as the continuity candidate. I think Chair Yellen got a process in motion, shrinking the balance sheet, which he will endorse and continue. Gradual rate rises with the emphasis on gradual. I think if there would be a place he would trip up, and let me say I don't expect it, it would be if he tries to get some hard commitments from a senator in a question. When will you stop? Yeah. And more detail than he'll want to offer, I think.
Rude questions that you don't want to answer in a testimony. The giant was William McChesney Martin, who pushed against Truman on Fed independence.
Yes.
Are we so fractious in Washington that this has to be a McChesney Martin moment for Jerome Powell?
You know, I don't think it is now, Tom, but at some point, I don't have a crystal ball, there will be another recession. And I think there, because of concerns about Fed activity during the last crisis, QE and other programs, we could have a McChesney moment down in the next downturn, but probably not at this hearing.
Okay, so what happens to the yield curve, Richard? Good morning, first of
Hi,
all,
Francine.
from now until mid-next year.
Well, the curve has been flattening, but that's not unusual. Indeed, the U.S. yield curve typically does flatten during rate hike cycles. Indeed, if you look at a chart of the 10-2s curve, it's more or less where you'd expect it to be at this point in the cycle. I think there will continue to be some tendency towards flattening. The wild card is where we are with regards to inflation. We've had surprisingly low inflation this year. I think the bond and the stock markets are very relaxed about that. The wild card for the yield curve and really for markets is where inflation's going next year. If it surprises on the upside, then that creates, I think, some interesting dynamics. The Fed could hike more. You could get some more flattening. I think, of course, Francine, your viewers need to know that when you really care about the yield curve is when it gets inverted. When the yield on, say, the 10-year bond falls below the 2-year bond, then you really start getting worried. But we're a long way from that.